Hi, everybody. This is just a little preamble to warn you that this is a weird episode. If you're new to the podcast, I wouldn't start here. In the last episode, I said some offensive things, and I'm sorry for saying those things. I'm sorry I upset anyone, and I'm committing to do better. And a lot of this episode is dedicated to the apology and explanation of this. So it's just a weird one. That's just a warning. Try to keep things fun and lighthearted and not piss off all my listeners and then have to apologize it on most episodes. So that's what this episode is. And this is just a preamble to alert you. Hi, everybody. Welcome to my The Asshole podcast. I'm Danny Vega, and I'm joined today by my lovely, lovable co-host, Sarah. Sarah, how are you today?
I'm good. I had a really productive day. I went to a new dentist and I did not get scammed. So
I love to hear
I think
it.
that's a win. They had like suspiciously good reviews. Like there's a line, I think, between good reviews that are encouraging and like
Yeah.
I think they just paid a bunch of people to
Right,
give
right.
vague 5-star reviews. But I got a cleaning, I got my x-rays. They didn't try to tell me that all my teeth were going to fall out unless I gave them $10,000. So
Love it.
and it was like, well, from what I consider, because I don't have dental insurance, it was like a good price.
Hey, that's great. Love to hear it. Love a good cleaning. Did they use the electric thing versus the manual scraper thing?
They did like the electric hook with the water that squirts out of it.
I love that thing. So
I
much better
hate
than
it.
the way they used to do it. Really?
Ugh, I just feel like it causes me a lot of discomfort, but I know it's like good.
It's kind of like a screecher, but compared to the old way, which is like scraping the shit out of your teeth and then you leave
Yeah,
the dentist and have a sore
that's-
jaw.
Yeah, that's also horrible. I don't love the dentist. Hot take of the day. But no, it was pretty good.
I like that you brought us in on a light dentist note. I am in a bit of a heavier zone. You know,
I can sense that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll bring everyone up to speed. And what happened is I said some things that upset some people, and I just kind of wanted to address it. I actually deleted it from the episode, so I think not that many people heard it. But anyway, I'm not gonna mince words about it. I basically said some stuff regarding a situation where a girl was burying her stomach. She was a 16-year-old babysitter. And I said things that came across very poorly. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry to everyone I upset. I'm sorry for what I said. And yeah, I guess I just wanted to just go into a couple of these things because, I really appreciate that you guys listen to the podcast. And, we just say stuff on this, sometimes we'll have read the situation before and sometimes no. And in this case, I hadn't read that one and I was just reacting in the moment. And it's not an excuse, but that's just the context. But yeah, let me just kind of go into a couple of things that I said. I mean, so I think a big thing that people were upset by is they took what I was saying as boys will be boys type of logic, which is like a thing people say. And I'm sorry that I came across that way. That was not my intention. Or potentially it was my intention. I'm trying not to do that thing where I was like, that's not what I meant. Cause like, I know Sarah and I were talking earlier and, I think this was not necessarily a good exchange for us emotionally. Like we weren't.
Wasn't the most like productive at all. Absolutely not.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think I might have been frustrated, and that might have been why I started saying incredibly stupid shit. So yeah, I think that phrase is mad shitty, and I would never say that regarding someone's behavior. All I was trying to say is that that I thought that boys were distracted by girls, and I think Sarah put it really well. Like we all have urges, so that's not unique to men. And I was off base, and I think one of the biggest mistakes I made, and I've been doing a lot of reading. I've been going on our feminism subreddit, maybe not reading, but
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, and Sarah had said, that this girl this 16-year-old girl was being sexualized, and I said, well, is she being sexualized or is she becoming sexual? And I understand now the difference. I didn't get it before, and I should have. Frankly, I don't know. I guess I just didn't really internalize it, and I think I have work to do on understanding the plight of women. I'm really actually not well versed on it compared to other subjects. Like I've read books on racism, but I haven't actually read a book on feminism. And I did start the conversation saying I was ignorant about certain things, and I didn't really even know how ignorant I was. Like, there's just a lot of shit I didn't really. I don't know that I would say I hadn't heard of it, but I hadn't really just like been like, damn, and really taken it in. And so yeah, like when I was saying that, what I was projecting my own experience, and that was just like, when I was 13, I remember oh, I'm sexual now. Like I'm getting boners and I want to watch porn or whatever. And it's like an internal thing, like something that happened to me, but nothing like, nothing, the world didn't change, just I changed. And so I was assuming and caught in my own experience that, it works the same way for women. And that's what I was thinking. Which was stupid. It was fucking stupid.
Because it's like, imagine if you were a 13-year-old and then you also had adults like making comments about your body and like,
right.
And making covert things of like,
right.
Oh my God. I remember, this is like horrifying, but I remember like we were watching my bat mitzvah tape and like someone in the house, some man, I don't remember who it was like pointed out this girl in my 8th grade class and was like, look at her. And it's like, so like imagine if someone was saying that about you when you were 13, like that's alarming,
Yeah, I think truly, I don't know that would be alarming to me. I don't know. It's hard. I think it's hard. Look, I think it's different. I think it's different, but I know it's alarming to women. I actually this post kind of hit me in the heart, and I get it because I think I don't know. I guess for me, like I remember like all I wanted to do was have sex. Like I was like, obsessive about it and stuff. And I think like it doesn't play out that way because, and look, I think I can't fully empathize because I don't really get creeped on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, if an adult made a comment about you as a 13-year-old and was like, hubba hubba, like you would hopefully, maybe 13-year-old
right.
you would be like cougar, but as you got older, you'd be like, whoa, that's not okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm just trying to be frank here and say that I can't really think of a situation where I've felt like my physical safety or something like that would be compromised by someone sexually. So like I don't know. I'm trying to like understand it. And let me just read this thing I found.
I mean, yeah, you'll probably never like. Hopefully, you will never be able to empathize. Like
yeah.
Because nobody wants you to have to like be put in danger to understand. And like,
exactly.
It's okay for someone to admit like, I'm never going to understand this experience, but I can at least believe what you're telling me is true.
Right. Absolutely. And this comment that I found, I thought was really good. It's by Angel Eyes by ABBA on Tumblr. And she wrote, being a girl and hitting puberty is so traumatic. You go from being a genderless little free thing to being hit with shaving and makeup and growing breasts and skincare and menstruation. And suddenly being sexualized when like a few years ago you could take your shirt off to play in the stream and trade Yu-Gi-Oh cards with the boys and come home covered in mud and not even think about it. And then you spend years hating being a girl and hating everything puberty did to you and wishing you could be a boy or be genderless. And it takes you many years to come to terms with yourself. And I think
that's actually, I can relate to a lot of parts of that.
Oh, really? You want to trade Yu-Gi-Oh cards later?
Yeah. Got the Pokemon in my basement.
Yeah, I was more of a Pokemon kid. But yeah, I think I'm starting to get it because I think like you had told me stuff like this before and it just hadn't really hit me in the heart. And so it's just a different thing. And like I've had the thought before, like, oh, being a woman is a pain in the ass. Like you got to put on all this makeup and you do your hair and all that shit. And I guess it had never really like hit me like the violence of this transition of like you're just one of the boys and there's like gender is almost irrelevant. And then it's like, oh no, this is like your whole thing now. Plus there's guys creeping on you. And like I just and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I hadn't like internalize that properly.
And thank you. I mean, I appreciate the apology, and I will say we talked about it on the bonus. So if you guys want some real raw convos, subscribe to the Patreon. But I wasn't. I was also not in like a let's talk about this and be productive space either. Like it was very defensive.
Yeah,
it was not my best conversation. I mean, I just got riled up and I wasn't being like totally level-headed either. So, yeah.
Thank you. I mean, you didn't have to say that, but I appreciate that. And,
I mean, it's true. I was definitely worked up.
Yeah, and reflecting back, I was like, I think I'd like to believe that I wouldn't say this shit when I had a level head. So I think we were both, frustrating each other on some level. But I just wanted to say, thanks to everyone who reached out. Because a couple people took some shots at me, but for the most part, the people who were upset, stress how much they love the pod. And one listener wrote, I love you all on the pod to the moon and back. I'm just a bit concerned after a few statements I heard during the episode. I'm curious as to why Danny is so preferential to the term becoming sexual over the term sexualized. I just thought, that person really, they were concerned, and I really appreciate that. They didn't call me a sexist. They didn't call me ignorant. They didn't throw a single adjective at me. And I was like, what a gem, that our listeners would give me some grace and give me a second chance and give me a chance to explain myself and make up for it. But yeah, I guess there were a few other things that I said that I just wanted to cover really quick. I had said unable to resist, and I had said beautiful women are intoxicating, and I had called, boys, I had said 13-year-old boys are wild animals, and I understand why that's toxic. I think that boys need to be taught responsibility. They need to be taught to respect women as humans and to not fuck with them and catcall and stare and understand that, you might be attracted to be a woman, but you might be attracted to a woman, but you gotta respect her. And I think that, I fucked up and I missed the mark in framing it in terms of how boys will be distracted. And I thought in our text, you put that perfectly, that everyone has urges. So there's no wiggle room here. And I'm sorry for my shitty take.
Thank you. I mean, I could see after we stopped recording, I could see where you were getting frustrated with me because I feel like you thought I was saying like, well, don't have an urge. And I get why it came off that way. But what I was saying was, no, you just can't like act on those urges all the time. And you can't let it just, impact your day-to-day life because everybody does have them, even though like all the I don't know, even though women are supposed to be like, oh, the dainty flowers and blah, 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 and whatever, it doesn't mean that people don't feel attraction. Like, I mean, not everybody does, of course. Right. But like many people do. And it's just a lot of these things too, like sexism, racism, like a lot of it can manifest in like, who do you give the benefit of the doubt? Who do you side with? And so like when you are siding with men for, having these urges and being like, well, that's just me. Like that is like a way that sexism is manifesting. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, look, if I can explain myself a little bit too, and I think one of the reasons that we weren't seeing eye to eye here, and I think the fact that it was about dress code is also just a subject. Like I'm not super big on clothes. Like so to me, and again,
I know, yeah. Once I had to explain to you what a tank top was, I was like, oh, there's a large, like, honestly, a knowledge gap here. It's okay. But I was like, we're not really coming from the same level of, like, understanding. Where I'm like, yeah, obviously, a tank top. Like,
right. And, like, I mean, for me, if someone's like, you have to wear this, I guess to me, like, I went to a uniform school and, like, that just made it easier for me. And I was a nasty boy and I chewed my shirt like a little freak till, like, fourth grade. But
it's not necessarily even the concept of having a dress code that can be sexist, but what I was trying to say is like the way you constantly see this in the news, the way I saw this at my own high school is just that it's not universally applied. And that is where sexism comes into play.
Right. Well, and if I can, and I can say this, and by the way, another listener sent me a great thing about gender essentialism, which I thought was super insightful, and I'm still chewing on, and she said that I'm a gender essentialist, and The
Oh,
idea
what
of,
does that mean?
it means that what I was trying to say, and hats off to this listener as well for not taking any shots at me, that you believe that, you know, that each sex has like certain immutable traits associated with them.
Yeah.
And I think I might be a little bit of a gender essentialist. I'm not really sure, but nonetheless, I think that, you know, none of it is an excuse, and I apologize that it played as an excuse. And I think you're right, Sarah. I think by just entertaining that side, in this case being the devil's advocate for that side, was shitty, and I was ignorant. I was ignorant, and I was just ignorant of the broader picture here, and so. I think a big thing too, this comment really clicked in with me. I'm really bad wrote on Tumblr. Apparently Tumblr is really a good source for feminism. So maybe we should bring back Tumblr. I don't know what happened to Tumblr. They wrote, I wish men understood that when women are talking about feminism and rape culture and shit, it's not a political conversation. It's not about being a social justice warrior. It's about our actual lives being shaped by misogyny since childhood. And I think, you know, and I appreciated what you said, that, you know, you were charged in this kind of argument and I was charged, but I think I approached this in a way where I was like, well, we both are allowed to have opinions on this now because, well, and it's like, you know, that's not true. Like, I should have been asking you questions and trying to understand better. And so I approached this thing with really just the wrong attitude. Yeah, and I fucked up, and I'm sorry, and I'm gonna do better. And I actually, I've even gone a little farther because this has happened before. This was actually early in the podcast. This was potentially years ago, and I upset a lot of people. I think I upset an equal number of people, and we had a lot less listeners. So it was like probably a bigger fuck up. So I think maybe I can give myself credit and say this is a smaller fuck up. But what I did was I started a group of people who are very committed to the pod and like go to all our happy hours and stuff. And it's the AITA advisory board, and these individuals are going to help me to be better. And, you know, sometimes I worry that I've said stuff on an episode or something that could be misconstrued poorly or whatever, or just people to opine on things. Like there's judgment calls that, you know, Sarah and I kind of debate on, and, you know, we're like 50-50. And so it's kind of like, well, what do we do? And so this is basically a group of people to be like, no, fuck you, Danny, you're wrong. And they're already scoring points on me all over. I'm getting rocked in there.
Oh, man, the Facebook group drama today. I'm glad that we have other people to weigh in, though, and it's not just like us.
I love it. And, you know, this whole experience for me, like, it was very emotional, and I cried a lot, and, but it was good tears because I'm really so grateful for the listeners, for you guys. And, you know, I present myself as an authority, as someone who knows about life and knows about ethics. And this was a colossal fuck up, and I was ignorant, and I'm gonna do better, and I'm gonna learn more, and I probably will fuck up again. I'll read a final comment, and this was on Twitter. Somebody wrote, I respect your willingness to own things and grow. I also really respect your willingness to give your honest opinions in the moment, even if they are hot takes. I may not always agree, and I may even sometimes get upset, but at least I know you're never fake. And yeah, and I am going to keep it real with you guys and say what I really think. And but I think this is a good insight. I actually love what you said, Sarah. It's like, just for certain things, it's like, don't come in hot. And I came in hot, and I should have came in ready to listen and learn, because this is not something I knew about. And I was acting like I knew something. I fucked around and I found out. Classic.
Oh, true. Classic. Yeah. I mean, I think like it's tough to like be challenged. I feel like nobody wants to be challenged, and having these sorts of conversations about like any sort of social injustice is often hard, because for one person, it can be a philosophical debate. For another person, it can be their humanity. And like when someone's kind of questioning your humanity, in a sense, you don't want to be nice about it. Like, it's tough, but I mean, there is so much evidence that it's like the way to change people's mind is to like ask questions and keep your cool. But it's hard to do in the moment. So, but I can appreciate you being willing to listen and not just like so many people when their opinions are challenged, just go into like defensive mode, and I'm going to put up this wall around me, and I'm going to double down now on my bad on my shitty takes, you know, like countless people do that. So,
oh, I did that. Don't you worry. There was a solid 4 hour stretch. I was even mad at you at one point. I was like, how could Sarah let this happen to me? Yeah, and I actually had that impulse. That only lasted a few hours.
It's normal. It's normal to go into denial mode and then be like, no, like, wait a sec. I do it like
yeah, I mean, look, I think the thing about this too that made it easy to understand and what happened is like, you know, I got this one tweet that called me a sexist, and at that point I was like, oh boy, and then you know, we got more messages. And then once we hit 3 messages, all saying the exact same talking points, it was kind of like, yeah, no, I fucked up. And then, and I really have to give a lot of credit because I think we have amazing listeners because nobody, and I heard that we got negative reviews. So maybe someone tore me up in the review, which is fair. It's fair. Like what I said was offensive. And so if someone did take a shot at me, I don't even fault them for that. But for the people who didn't and like wrote in and submitted, like they really just, it was like perfect conflict management, skills. Like, you know, you said this thing and this is how it felt. And a lot of people, told stories about trauma they had and stuff like that. And I'm sorry about that aspect as well, because I know that some of you felt like I was trivializing that, or you know, like you said, Sarah, just kind of playing this devil's advocate. And it's like, no, like really horrible shit has happened. So fuck off with your talk about boys being distracted by shoulders, you know. And so.
Yeah, I will also say hats off to everybody who like wrote in, because it is really hard to write. To like educate someone in a measured,
yes,
graceful way. And I think most of you guys did that. I think everybody. So like hats off, because that takes like a lot of maturity and restraint. So, and clearly it was effective. So thank you.
Yeah, it was. Thank you guys. And I was about to say rate, review, and subscribe, but no, I'm not gonna fucking do that right
now. Oh man.
All right, cool. Well, let's try to shift the energy a little bit here, folks.
Yeah.
And I'll obviously feel free to reach out if you know, if that wasn't satisfactory to you and you want to hear more, and there's something else you want me to address, I'll address you personally. Throw it in the form on the website, aitapod.com. And also always true, because that's what we're here to do. And I love talking about these situations with people and hearing different perspectives, and, you know, and I wanted to say I'll probably be wrong again, probably not in the exact way. I hope not in the exact way, but you know, it's kind of good to be wrong. There's good aspects. Like I learned and I grew.
It's the only way you can learn to be right.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Not right, but you know what I mean. Like, it's true. Yeah.
And one of these days, Sarah might even be wrong. I don't know, people. Could happen.
I've been wrong. It's happened before. It'll happen again.
All right, guys. Well, sorry if that was repetitive. That was maybe emotional labor for some of you, but much love. Here we go. Let's do a little bit of Guess the Words, folks. AITA for telling my brother-in-law it's cringe to continue saying he's child-free whenever I ask him to watch my son.
I read the situation, so I hate to disappoint you. It was a whopping YTA.
It was a whopping YTA. That is correct. OP wanted his brother-in-law to watch his nephew. Brother-in-law was like, oh, no. OP doubled down and was like, you need to have a relationship with your nephew. Brother-in-law is like, no, actually, I'm child-free. OP said, it's cringe that you keep saying that. Cringe! The in-laws were also like, yeah, OP, he doesn't have to take care of your son. Top comment went to Greek American Dom, YTA, for fuck's sake, how entitled are you? Your brother-in-law is clear about who he is and what he won't do, but because that's not convenient to you, you feel you can disrespect. This is a failure on your part.
Oof. I mean, okay, I do think it's not fair to like try to use someone for free childcare when they have made it clear that they are not going to do that, but like, to not have a relationship with your family members because you are child-free seems very extreme.
So what's a brother-in-law? The brother-in-law is your sister's, I guess heteronormatively, your sister's husband?
Heteronormatively. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I guess that is kind of his nephew, but I can see why it's not like, if it was, I thought it was his brother for a second, and I was like, you don't have to take care of the baby, but what, are you not going to speak to this child until they turn 18? Like, what? That's harsh.
Yeah, it's a little cold, but I can't bring asshole charges, you know? I don't think you're obligated to have a relationship with your like siblings, kids, even. Like if that's not what you want, you know. I would think you would if you want to have a good relationship with them,
Yeah.
sure, but you know, if you don't like them, you're like, "Well, I don't care about your shitty kid." You know, I think that's your
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Because I think you and I talk a lot about you don't owe your family nothing if you don't want it.
If they're toxic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Your
Okay.
toxic nephew? I don't like my toxic nephew.
Right. All right. AITA for telling my mom she doesn't really care about my dead sister.
Jesus, man, I can't. Oh man. What was it? Wait, one more time?
AITA for telling my mom she doesn't really care about my dead sister.
I don't know. I think I'm just gonna bunt this and say NTA.
Close.
Okay.
It was no assholes here.
Oh wow.
OP's sister recently died in a car accident, and basically, like, the mom is really Catholic, the dad is a Buddhist. And the sister who died kind of stepped away from the church when she was like 18. And the mom is planning the funeral. She's planning a fully Catholic funeral. And this is the brother who's writing this, OP 16 male. When they found out, they were angry, and they said, "Oh, the sister wasn't a Catholic, shouldn't have a Catholic funeral." And the mom, is arguing like, "Oh, I'm her mom, I know best," blah blah blah. And then OP says, "You never cared about my sister's wishes. You're only holding a Catholic funeral for yourself instead of honoring her memory." And pretty much the top comment was, "NAH, your mother is grieving. It makes sense that the traditions of her own faith will bring her comfort. I understand how you want to respect your sister's preferences too. In my opinion, funerals are the living to help them cope." So it was ultimately no assholes here.
That makes sense. I mean, that's a deep cut, but Chris Calogero episode back there in the post-Anthony Guesties, really good episode about death and respecting grievers. You can't really fuck with a griever, man. You gotta let them grieve however they want to grieve.
Yeah, and I also am on board with the sentiment that like funerals are for the living, and it's like, if you're doing something that they wildly would never want, like if this person wanted to be cremated and you're giving them a traditional burial, that's fucked up. But like, I'm sorry, they're not going to be at the service. Like they're,
Yeah, they're not.
As long as it's something they weren't like adamantly against.
Right.
I'm kind of like, funerals are for the people who are living. So it's my hot take of the day.
That seems fair. AITA for not being there for my wife when she had a miscarriage.
Oh my God, how could you not be the asshole? But maybe they're estranged. I have to go to Conspiracy Town. Maybe they're separated. The wife is like, "Get the fuck out of my life." Maybe it was like a miscarriage with someone else's child, and it was really early on. Like the wife cheated.
Creative. Yeah.
I know. Now I'm really like using my creative writing degree. Ooh, it was worth it, Dad.
There you go.
NTA on this post would absolutely blow my mind. I just have, but there was obviously a reason. I don't know. I don't think it's right, but I'm going to say NTA. Like it could have been crazy.
Close, but no cigar.
Oh.
I did enjoy your Conspiracy Town, though. Wow, you really wrote a couple situations in there. No, actually, Opie and wife are together, and she's preggo. Opie's mom actually got sick in Morocco, which, such a haul to Morocco. Who among us hasn't? Oh, I gotta go to Morocco again. You know how that goes. 5 hours before the flight, OP's mom is life-threateningly sick. 5 hours before the flight, wife finds out she had a miscarriage, and OP finds out that they're now stuck between staying with her and visiting the mother. Wife begged OP to stay, but he couldn't since the plane tickets were expensive and there was no guarantee my mother would be alive when she felt better. So then the wife starts sobbing and refuses to talk to him. OP gets to Morocco. How brutal is this? Gets in the car. His sister's like, "What? You left your wife? You're the asshole. And then the brothers, though, were like, "Oh, you did the right thing." Top comment went to Caroline.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. Not even in a bad way, but it's like the person who could have experienced a miscarriage, his opinion is going to be different from the people who will never experience it.
Insightful. I mean, well, let me just tell you this, then we'll go back. Caroline Diva, top comment, "No assholes here. This is a situation you can't win."
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree. It's like your dying mother.
Right.
a miscarriage. Like, that's so tough. Really a rock
So
and a hard
tough.
place. Like, I'm really glad I'm not in that situation.
I liked what you said though, and I think, you know, you're onto something because, you know, like you said, the sister sided with the wife because she could have a miscarriage, and
maybe she's had one. Like,
maybe
seriously,
she's
you
had
don't know.
one,
It's really
right?
common.
And I don't
It's
know.
such a unique form. I don't know. Miscarriages, I feel like, are such a unique form of pain that are like, it's pretty not talked about, but it's very devastating from what I've like been told. And I
Oh my
feel like
God.
it's a really unique kind of loss that's like hard to kind of understand.
Totally. And I just also
So is losing your parents. So
exactly. Yeah. I mean, look, this is Between a Rock and a Hard Place classic, but I thought what
Yeah.
you said is insightful because I think, you know, I think one of the things I'm taking away from this incident too is like, in the end, like your life is just one big giant anecdotal evidence, you know, but like your life is not anybody else's. And so I think that's my big learning is I need to be always like ever cautious of like, you know, understanding, you know, it's checking your privilege, but I guess I'm trying to say something a little bit more pernicious than that. It's just like realizing that you're sort of biased by everything that's ever happened to you and your interpretation of the world. Everyone is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I know. I hate the phrase check your privilege is so like, I feel like it's become such a low bar because people think if they use a little disclaimer of like, I know I have privilege, then it's going to like sort of absolve everything that's to come. And it's really like, no, you have to do something with that to matter. Like, you know, you can't just be the Kardashians being like, we know we have privilege. It's like, all right, well, are you going to do anything with it to like help people?
Yeah.
But it is important to recognize that your experience is not like the one size fits all as well.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. I like that.
Thanks. All right. Well, AITA for mocking a client's name.
Oh, God. Yeah. YTA.
I thought so, too. I don't really understand this situation. Basically, OP like works at a desk, was taking an order. Their computer system was slow, so they were just going to like write down all the person's information and like follow up with them later. And then OP took down her name. OP, I guess, wrote down what they thought it was. I suppose it was a super common name, but the person said it weirdly. So I guess the OP wrote it down kind of like phonetically as opposed to what they thought it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, if you said your name was, I thought it was Daniel, but you were like, Daniel. I don't know. That's a weird, something like that. And then the woman saw the paper and started laughing really loudly and said, "What's that?" in this mocking tone. OP goes, "I didn't say anything at all because I was too surprised, and I realized after I was kind of just staring her down. But it was shift hour 9 of 10, and I was too tired to react in polite mode." But so the top comment was, "NAH, you spelled her name wrong and didn't ask. That was an accident. She was offended." Actually, this kind of reminds me of a story. One time my cousin, I was like a kid, my cousin called me up. She wanted to borrow a book. But it was on the phone, and her name is BB. Okay. But my mom and I both could have sworn, she hands me the phone, she goes, "Someone named DB is calling for you." And we're like, DB, who is that? And then, so she's like, "Hey, this is BB. I'm still hearing DB, like clear as a bell. It's very weird." Right. I'm like, "How do I know you?" And she goes, "I'm your cousin." And I'm like, "What?" And then I feel like I must have hung up and 2 seconds later been like, "Oh my God, like I'm an idiot." But so I can kind of understand what OP did in this moment. Got my own family member.
BBDD. All right, Sarah. Well,
I would kind of think it was a YTA. Maybe not, because it said she really loudly said, "What's that?" in a mocking tone, and then sort of started laughing. Mm-hmm. I don't really know, but weird situation.
What I do know is that was a skunking 2-0. Sarah tore me up. I guess the verdict. The queen. Wait,
no,
back,
I didn't
folks.
get the other one.
Oh, you didn't? You knew the first
miscarriage?
One. Oh,
I got the first one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. My brain is fried. Yeah.
Only 1 point for me.
You won fair and
Gotta keep me honest.
All right, folks. Well, I'm not going to do any plugging on this. Don't rate, review. Don't subscribe.
In fact, unsubscribe right now.
Don't tell them that. All right. No,
I'm just kidding.
Fine. No, it is what it is. All right, guys. Our second story of the day, AITA for explaining my 5-year-old nephew where meat comes from. Ooh. That's interesting. But first, folks, would I be the asshole if I tell my sister-in-law her infertility is because of her getting an IUD after having her son 6 years ago? Oh, man. So a little back info. My 28F, sister-in-law 25F, and brother 27M have been together 10 years, married for 4. Whoa. My sister-in-law, we'll call her Olivia, got pregnant early into the relation, about 6 months. We've never really gotten along because she acts like she's better than everyone.
When she was 15? That can't be right.
What do you mean? Because they've been together for 10 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
maybe into the marriage.
Probably.
I hope. I seriously hope.
We've really never gotten along because she acts like she's better than everyone, but it's not for lack of trying on my part. After she had her son, she got an IUD as to not have any more children. My stance on birth control aside, what?
Ooh.
She had it for about 2 years. Yeah, just like quiet drop. She had it for about 2 years before they decided they wanted to try for a second. This was 4 years ago now. The reason I feel like telling her IUD is why she's infertile is because she seemed to have no trouble getting pregnant the first time. Normally, I wouldn't even care, but I have 6 kids, 5 of which were born while my brother and sister-in-law have been together. Every time I've announced my pregnancies, she gets this pitiful look on her face and excuses herself. My brother will check on her before they ultimately leave. This annoyed me as is, but I bit my tongue. However, I'm planning to announce my 7th pregnancy at my brother's birthday party this weekend. I know she will make her show as always, but would I be the asshole if I just told her to suck it up? It's not our fault she messed up her chances by getting an IUD.
What in the Duggar is this shit?
Oh, Duggars? Are those the Octo children?
19 kids and counting, I think, is them.
No, how many?
19.
That's too many.
Them. It's entirely too many, and so is 7.
7's a lot.
Whew.
7's a lot. That's a baker's half dozen. Calm down.
My God, I know. I mean, I guess if I can give OP like this tiny nugget of grace in that they seem to have been raised in a ultra, what's the word? Like conservative, religious household that is restrictive. I feel like once you say you have a stance on birth control, right. I'm like,
never
right.
A good stance.
Yeah, not unless your stance is like it should be free and easily accessible.
Right.
I'm kind of like, all right, I'm already getting a picture of who we're dealing with and the circumstances in which they may have grown up. I just even honestly, like IUD aside, I think it's just pretty crazy to me to like espouse something as a fact that you like have no idea that it's true.
Yeah, it reminds me of myself.
No, but like even to say like, oh, your IUD is why you're infertile. Like,
yeah, that's like
it's kind of like
witch doctor shit.
Right. I'm like, number one, that's not true, but it's just like kind of insane to like espouse fake medical advice with confidence. I guess we know a few podcasters who do that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I feel like people do that too, you know, ignorant people, and they try to like rationalize their hatred or something. I guess, yeah, I don't really understand. It feels like really too, she's just unable to empathize at all. You know, and actually, you know what? Here's a mark against her. Why are you announcing your pregnancy at your brother's birthday party? So you're just a monster. Like you're just
seriously.
It's all about you, huh?
Right. I feel like this person's backwards views aside, it's like, yeah, why do you have to be announcing your pregnancies at family events? Also, why are you doing it at your brother's birthday and stealing his thunder? And why would you then have the gall to tell your brother's wife, whose birthday you're upstaging, to suck it up? Like, that is, wow. Like, oh my God. I can't even imagine like the level of conceitedness involved to think that is perfectly okay.
Are your 6 kids that are already out, are they not giving you enough love? I mean, what's the problem
Seriously.
here, lady? What do you need from the world?
Right. I gotta say too, like if you're expecting a whole parade for your 7th pregnancy announcement, somebody needs to bring you back down to earth. I think you get like 2. And I say this as a triplet, so I wouldn't have gotten the fanfare, you know, and I'll take that.
You're gonna throw your mom under the bus? She only gets to celebrate.
I'm throwing myself under the bus.
You don't get to be celebrated. Yeah. That's
like
funny.
It's fine. After like your 2nd or so, maybe a 3rd, it's like,
lady. Yeah.
All right, you can't throw a shower. You gotta recycle your shit.
Base 9045 writes, YTA for so many reasons. First, the reasons behind her infertility are between her and her partner and her doctor, not you, not with your degree from Google Medicine. Portions KOD wife, YTA, IUD doesn't cause anyone to go completely infertile. In fact, people can still get pregnant with an IUD. I currently have an IUD and absolutely love it. Okay.
Yeah, but I will say that if you are getting pregnant with an IUD, it's like often a life-threatening situation. So.
Oh, really? I just like
because
that they threw
you get pregnant in your like fallopian tubes as opposed to your uterus, and it can be life-threatening. Right. It's like an ectopic pregnancy. So I don't think that's a point in the favor of the IUD. Like,
right.
You can get pregnant on it, but it might kill you. So
right. Yeah, I also like how they wrote, I currently have an IUD and I absolutely love it. All caps. Like, is this a commercial now? Like,
I
what
know.
just happened? I mean,
I feel like, honestly, everybody that I know who has an IUD is like, it was the most painful experience of my life, but I absolutely love it. And I'm like, cool. Like, I totally support, but I am too scared. So,
yeah, I mean, it's, well, because once you get it, you don't have to worry about it.
yeah.
That's what because
But getting it is like
no,
often
you bleed and shit. It's like
quite
traumatic.
painful.
And it's got little strings on it, which actually can hurt really badly.
Sorry, this isn't an IUD commercial. This episode is sponsored by Kylina.
Kylina, our other sponsor, Skyla. Random pseudonym 314. You'd be both the arsehole and the stupidest person in the entire world. Please don't have any more kids.
Yikes.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a no-brainer here. This person is really just being very hostile, unempathetic, announcing a pregnancy at a brother's party.
Yeah, I kind of think the fertility issues are almost irrelevant. I think even if they weren't struggling to conceive, anyone would be miffed that you would announce your pregnancy at, I mean, maybe not anybody, but like, I think plenty of people would be like, all right, why do you have to steal like the attention at my birthday?
Yeah. Yeah. Would it be the asshole if I tell
But I did love the edit though.
Oh,
I would like to read it.
Oh, read it.
Edit. After the amount of comments and people agreeing I'd be in the wrong, I've just decided to skip my brother's birthday altogether. Honestly, maybe y'all are right. They won't care. I'll have a talk with my brother privately about my pregnancy and see if I should tell her at all or just tell family individually. So I have to say, OP is like I feel beyond help at this point. Like, your takeaway from, no, don't announce your pregnancy at the birthday is like, fine, if I can't steal the spotlight, I just won't go.
Right.
Like, unless his birthday is like the drinking Olympics and everybody's going to ask why you're not drinking, then why does it need to be one or the other?
Yeah, because
it's fucking horrible.
Right, exactly. No, I think you nailed it. It's like, can't be the star. All right, I am out for these reasons.
Right. And then everybody gets to talk about why she's not there.
God, center of attention.
Yeah.
Would it be the asshole if I tell my sister-in-law her infertility is because of her getting an IUD after having her son 6 years ago? I think we agree. YTA.
Oh my God, one of the biggest ones we've had in a while.
What a monster. AITA for explaining to my 5-year-old nephew where meat comes from. I'm a vegetarian and have been since I was around that age. 5? Damn. One of my earliest memories was asking my parents if the meat came from dead animal flesh and them lying to me. But eventually, my sister told me the truth. Yeah, how did they spin that?
Yeah, literally. I actually would like to know.
Yeah, well, they don't kill the animal. They just cut out like a little piece of it and it grows right back. It's like a little boo-boo.
Right, like the animal donates the meat.
Okay.
It's not flesh, it's something separate. I kind of thought that for a really long time. Like, I just never really thought too deeply into it. I knew we were eating the animal, but I didn't realize, like, oh, the same parts that I have. Anyway.
Right. I've always thought it was weird that you had a tail. Anyway. This turned into years of my parents hiding meat in my food. What the fuck?
No.
Force feeding me, giving me ground beef, saying that it's soy. I grew up genuinely thinking that lying was normal since I caught my parents doing it every day. I also stopped eating my parents' food when I was 12. Just started cooking for myself. What a utterly chaotic, horrible...
Yikes-a-roni.
Thank you. Fast forward to now, I have a nephew who just turned 5 and he only eats rice, baked potatoes, and some kind of meat every single day for lunch and dinner. These kids.
So what? Same.
I feel like we all grew up with a kid like that, though. They're like, he only eats chicken tenders and peanut butter. And like,
for sure.
All right, I guess I have to accept this motherfucker and his culture. That's what he does.
This one girl that I went to school with, she would only drink Coke. She was so skinny. She would only drink Coca-Cola and she would only eat like pizza and fries. And like that was the theme of her bat mitzvah was like Coca-Cola.
Wow.
Oh man. But yeah, so we all know somebody like that.
Fast forward to now. I have a nephew who just turned 5. I already said this. Yesterday I was babysitting him for my sister and was trying to explain to him where all the vegetables come from.
What? The ground.
Seems like a 1 second conversation. I wanted to encourage him to eat healthier as my sister wasn't too invested in that. They come from...
Okay, what? There's nothing wrong with rice, baked potatoes, and meat. That's not inherently unhealthy. Like, maybe add a vegetable in there, but...
Sure. So this is OP explaining. They come from
Ay,
little
ay, ay.
seeds that grow into fruits that give you superpowers like strength, intelligence, and it makes you grow. No, I don't know how to speak to kids. This inevitably led to him asking where the beef on his plate came from. At first, I tried to give him the runaround and said that it comes from a farm, but he was poking around for a real answer, so I just said it comes from a cow. The beef is a cow. He then asked, do people have to kill it? And I simply said, yes. He didn't seem too bothered by this and just finished his plate. However, this afternoon, my sister calls me and she was beyond pissed. Apparently, my nephew is refusing to eat meat now because of what I said, and she can't believe I went behind her back and traumatized her son. Her plan was to tell him that meat came from the ground or from animals that died of natural causes.
What's this? What is with this fucking family? Like,
just
I
tell
swear.
the kid. They're going to find out.
Right.
Now-
I can't. This family's so weird. Let's lie about where meat comes from.
It's like, no, we killed an animal. It's okay. Now my parents are killing me. My parents are calling me saying I did this on purpose to convert him into vegetarianism. They said I have no idea how to deal with a child, and someone that young should never hear about death. My sister has also prohibited me from babysitting again until further notice.
This family has some weird, like, allegiance to meat. Like, I do not understand it.
Well, when we've covered like telling kids stuff before, I think this was Lindsay who was just like, yeah, you just tell them, it's not that big of a deal. Like whatever it is, just tell them. Like it's not, people like make it into this whole thing, but it's like, if you just tell them and you're straightforward, it's like, it's not as bad. It's not really,
I think
like,
if it's your kids, yeah, if it's your kids, yeah. I think, but if it's like other people's kids, then it kind of gets into like tricky. Like, I don't know, if you were babysitting a kid and they were like, where do babies come from? You got to be like, ask your parents.
Yeah. No, you're right. Other people's kids, you got to like push it onto their parents. But like, I guess I was trying to say that the parents like are like freaking out about explaining this. And it's like, no, just explain it and be straightforward. I mean,
right.
It is what it is.
I think the more you kind of build it up and make it this thing that you have to like hide from them and lie about it, like that's gonna make them react worse than if you were just like, yeah, we eat the cow. Like,
we eat cows. Grandma's dead.
Yeah.
These are facts. These are things that have happened. How old are you? 3? Oh shit. Well, maybe that was too soon, but no, but I like that because I don't know. I believe in transparency and honesty, and you know, I don't know. I'm sure there is like such a thing as too young, but it seems like, you know, I think you're right. I think the harm is the hiding and being weird about stuff, because in the end they're looking to you for guidance, and if you're comfortable with it, and you're like, look, that's what it is, and let me know if you have any further questions. That seems like a better approach to me. I
mean, if you're old enough to be eating chicken nuggets, you're old enough to know where they come from.
And trust me, you're not going to stop. Nobody stops chicken nuggets because they're the best things ever. I mean, come on. I've eaten at the best restaurants in the world, and the chicken tender slaps, folks.
We do love a chicken tendy. Yeah, this sister is so fucking weird for like continuing this weird ass tradition of pretending like meat doesn't come from dead animals. Like, are they raising the animals themselves as their own pets?
Yeah.
Like, why do they need to lie about this thing that's like genuine? I feel like very accepted, even if you don't agree with it and you choose not to eat meat. I think we all know that this is the reality.
Right. It's out there. Appalachian Envy, NTA. Does he go to school? He's going to hear at school. My kids knew where meat came from probably before that. PBS Kids even had a commercial for a while about the food chain and people eating hogs. Ha ha.
That's random.
Damn, a commercial?
I mean, I guess like I can kind of feel like I think OP kind of was, I don't know, I could see that they were coming at this with some kind of agenda, because you're like babysitting and all of a sudden you're explaining where vegetables come from, and they come from seeds that give you superpowers.
Yeah, that you're right.
Like, why was this conversation happening? And then of course he's going to be like, well, where does this other thing on my plate come from?
I think the superpowers is where my line was crossed, because I'm like, okay, now you're really like, this is a sales pitch. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, now, yeah, you are pitching something.
Yeah, I think that's a boundary cross. I think you shouldn't be trying to put information in other people's kids' heads that fit your agenda, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I think rightfully are like, hey, maybe your kid should eat a vegetable that isn't a potato. That's, I think, fair, but you should just say it to your sister.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. I think it's a slight offense, but I think OP had an agenda, and they're unchecked, and this is a 5-year-old, and that wasn't your thing to tell, and then you're trying to push your veganism or whatever. AITA for explaining to my 5-year-old nephew where meat comes from. I think we agree. YTA.
Well, is it ESH? Because I think the sister had weird plans.
Is it ESH? So wait, what are the sins of the sister that she got angry afterwards?
Her plan was to tell him that meat came from the ground or from animals that died of natural causes, if he ever asked.
I don't know if it makes her an asshole to... Does it make you an asshole to practice a kind of censoring sort of parenting style? That feels a little reachy to me.
I can get with that because I feel like it's actually not really material to the situation. Like it's kind of a future problem.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. I think armchair parenting, it's easy to say like, yeah, just tell your kid horrible shit. I don't know, be honest. But I don't know. I guess I can see somebody defending maybe more of a slow roll to reality approach.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm comfortable calling you an asshole just because you don't agree with me that you should be transparent with kids.
That's actually fair. All right, I'll go YTA with you.
AITA for explaining to my 5-year-old nephew where meat comes from. We agree, YTA. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this thing up on a listener submish. Thanks so much for listening to the show, and I treasure your feedback. I really do. And thank you. Thank you for listening to the show and helping me and Sarah grow as people. And I hope we've helped you grow too. On that note, here is one of the weirdest titles that we've ever had. Not so much an AITA, but a WhoIsTA. Great. So
Love
far,
that.
we know nothing. My brother, 23M, started dating his wife, 20F, in 2020. Wow, a lot of 20s. She lived with her mother and siblings and worked at a fast food joint. He lived on his own, was in college, and worked in his preferred profession. She was in a toxic...
I'm already sensing some things.
What are you sensing? Let's hear it, Spider-Man.
I'm already sensing some judgment. It's like she's 20 years old in a pandemic. Like, that's, of course she's going to work at a fast food place.
Yes. Good job. I didn't pick up on that at all. You're right. It was in the pandemic.
Thank you.
2020. I was here making like, that's so many 20s. Anyways, so where were we? She works at the fast food joint while he lives alone. He's in college and works in his preferred profession. Damn, in college.
Must be nice.
College already? This guy's killing it. Anyway, she was in a toxic household. You hate a toxic household, folks. Forced to give her paychecks to her mother and had little to no freedom until she met my brother. Anyways, they got married at the beginning of 2020, and per her request, they up and moved 7 hours from either of their families. After moving, she got depressed. Didn't have any friends, didn't have a job, wasn't in school, just always had to be with my brother. She actually told my brother that she misses the way things were in high school, drinking, smoking, partying every weekend. But when he wanted to go away, hunting or fishing, she would rip him a new one. F you for going out, F you for not inviting me, F you for leaving me. The list goes on. They got married.
I will say there is a way to continue the partying from high school, and it's called college.
Yeah, very true. They got married in January, and by May, he was already texting me and saying he wasn't sure if it was right for him. Well, yeah, you married someone after a year, right? So
Yikes.
That's about when shit starts to get real. If you're wondering why they got married, my brother was deep into the church, Southern Baptist, so he was preaching, teaching, and singing nearly every Sunday and Wednesday. Man, this guy's working hard. If you know,
on top of working in his chosen field in college.
This guy is kind of killing it in the weirdest way I've ever heard of, but sure.
Yeah.
If you know anything about Christianity, living together before marriage is a huge no-no. So you can see why he felt he had to marry her, as they lived together in her hometown before they got married. Despite the feelings of it maybe not working out, he still treated her like a queen, cooked, cleaned, brought her gifts and flowers weekly, and was the only source of income. So I guess she quit the fast food place. After a hunting trip in September, just warning you guys, we're about a third of the way through this puppy. So strap in, folks. After a hunting trip in September, she went off, yelling at him for wanting to go somewhere without her. At this point, he had had enough. He went on the hunting trip and decided he was going to talk to her about divorce when he got back. When he got back and told her, she went hysterical, banging her head against the wall. She's done this before and offering to go to therapy. He tried to do couples counseling when things first started to get really rough. She refused. So he told her he didn't want to be married anymore and she planned to leave. He gave her $1,000 and she stayed for a couple days until her mom came to get her. In those couple of days, she tried to act like things are fine, but the truth is hard to deny. Her mom got her, then wife attempted to get spousal support. They have no property or children. When that was denied, she then said she needed another $800. He told her no, but offered to give her a car that he bought before they were married. She said she didn't want the car, then proceeded to steal the keys and go back with her mom, 7-hour drive, so my brother couldn't drive his car for weeks. And this week's brother downloaded the Bumble BFF and made some friends. He started going out and really just finding himself and living his best life. Went from a small conservative town to a booming college town. After a bit, wife and mother-in-law show up to gather wife's things. They were there for a while, took her things, let the indoor cat outside, left the door open, turned the lights on in the car, and locked it so the battery would die, stole his gun, and left.
Oh, toxic.
Wow. While using Bumble, my brother met a friend. Let's call him BB. There you go. Oh, no, let's call him B. I misread it. Let's call him B.
Let's call him BB.
Let's call him DB. B became a confidant and someone my brother could trust. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. Confidant. B became a confidant and someone my brother could trust and talk to about anything. I noticed that they were hanging out a lot but never said anything because that's his life. When my brother came down to file the divorce papers, he told me he came out. Apparently, this was a secret he had been sitting on since childhood. No wonder he wasn't happy in his marriage. He never got the chance to explore the other side of himself. When wife heard...
I mean, I'll say no wonder he wasn't happy. His wife sounded toxic, but sure.
True. When wife heard about this, she started telling everyone that her husband cheated on her with a man, left her for a man, and this worked in her favor. Brother is 7 hours away, unable to defend himself. Wife told members of their old church, people from his old job, members of my own family, everyone she could, even posting it on TikTok. She outed him to our very homophobic town before he was ready. She even called our father, the only one in the family who would listen to her, and drove a wedge between brother and father that may never be fixed. Good God.
My God.
Who's the asshole here? I mean, OP, really? I understand.
OP.
I mean, really? I understand that she's hurt and confused, but that is no reason to ruin someone's relationship with family members. There's absolutely no reason to publicly out someone like that. AITA need unbiased opinions.
With a title like that, I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a debate. But I can see OP. I think OP is coming from this same conservative town, so I get why they're conflicted, but
that's good empathy. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think there's any case against your brother. I mean, what did he do? I mean, the worst thing I could level on him is, you know, he married someone and didn't really treat it like a marriage. You know, he didn't really commit to her in a way, right? Like, I think he could have taken that final therapy offer from her and tried to make it work, but
knowing he's gay.
Oh, that's right. He's gay. So yeah, there's really no leeway. We got nothing. I can't land a single charge on this guy.
No.
I got nothing.
Fucking sheesh is all I can say. I mean, even without the brother being gay, I think we actually could have cut that out of the story because this wife just sounds incredibly toxic.
She did nothing.
She's not. Why? First of all, why did she want them to move 7 hours away? What was the motivation there? He never says.
Right.
And why doesn't she let him do anything?
Right.
Why doesn't she have a life?
Right.
I even think without him being gay, it's this was not a good marriage and he should have gotten out. And they were clearly pressured into it by the church.
Right. Nothing about this was really working. And then she terrorized him and she really liked to mess with that car. Why didn't she just take the car? Because that's the thing. She doesn't even it's not that she even wants to do better. She just wants to torture him, just inflict as much pain as possible.
Right. It's I hate when people are I don't want it, but I'm going to fuck up your shit over something I don't even want.
Some people want to do that. I mean, it's a little psychopathic. They want to see others suffer. They don't even want to do well for themselves. They just want to make someone else suffer.
Yeah, it's like that Batman quote.
Hit me.
Oh, some people want to watch the world burn, from The Dark Knight.
Right.
It's that. That's this girl. She just wants to light the match and walk away.
Right. There you go.
Jeez.
There you go. It's just like Batman. On the grounds, on the question of not so much an AITA, but WhoIsTA, I think we agree not the asshole and the wife is.
It is a bajillion %.
Thanks for the submission, OP. You definitely took us on a wild ride that at no point cast any doubt in our hearts, but that's okay. Look, I don't know where you got mixed up, but...
I don't know, but OP wanted this question answered, and we will answer your questions, everybody. So submit in the form. We cleaned it up. It's very snazzy. No BS teenage drama anymore. I feel like someone commented that in the group.
Yeah, well, yeah. What are you going to do? Yeah, no.
But I like the petty problems. Honestly, everything can't be AITA, I cheated on my wife, and now my kids hate me, and blah, blah, blah. It can't all be like that.
Yeah, I like a tiny little problem. It's kind of fun.
Same. Into it.
All right, guys. Well, that's the app. Kind of a weird one, and kind of apologize for my energy. It's been a pretty crazy week for me, but I think give me some time here, and I'll learn and grow, and I'll kind of come back out of this, and we'll be back to the good times and the great oldies.
Oh, yeah.
And
bye.
Thank you.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see you next Monday morning.
There we go. Sarah's bringing it, folks. Bye.